All right, welcome back. It's time to talk about week 4 and look ahead to week 5. This week I'm joined by Brett,
Yep.
and this week we have a special guest because Jared's no showing on us. George, welcome to the show,
Yeah.
or better known as JGF around these parts.
Always has been known as JGF.
Always.
What my
At
mom
birth.
called me.
That's on his birth certificate. Anyway, Brett, let's talk about last week. What you got?
Yep. So we're gonna do a quick run through of week 4 review. We're gonna start off with I guess, both self-proclaimed 1 and 2, depending on who you're talking to at the time. Jared and Dale.
Preseason 1 and 2.
Yeah. So of course, close game. Dale with his BM in the chats, I'm sure everyone saw. But it ended up being a close matchup, determined by Sunday night.
Monday.
Monday night, Amon Ra versus JSN.
Freaking hate Auburn Raw.
And Jared just beat him. Dale left a few QBs on the bench that were better than Allen.
Mainly this one right here.
Right. Fields, and you had the red rifle in your back pocket. But yeah, close matchup, 2.78 difference.
Math.
And Dale is no longer undefeated.
Jared I've lost 3 games since the start of last season. 2 of them, I've lost 4 games since the start of last season. 3 of them have been to Jared. Heartbreak.
Yep. All right, next game. Disco versus myself. So a brothers game. I kind of just got cooked by 2 actual running backs and then 2 randoms.
2 randoms? What was that negative points?
Yeah, I mean that's it. It was all 4 of his running backs basically beat my team. Jordan Mason, Connor, Monty, and then Chase Brown for whatever reason decided to take snaps in Cincinnati. So
Speaking of taking snaps, is Kyle Pitts?
yeah, and Kyle Pitts lays another fucking egg. I don't know. At the beginning of the year, I thought, you know what, his floor can't go any lower, but he continuously breaking through that floor. So I'm not sure what to do with him. Yeah, so everyone predicted for me to win that match last week, including myself, but I guess it's just not in the cards.
Indeed.
Yep. Anyways, next one, Ross over JGF. Another close matchup. Went down to Monday night. It was Goff and Lockett versus Noah Fant. Ross came out on top. He lost Rice, but he pulled back and won. A 3.26 difference matchup. So, like I said, another close matchup throughout the week. But, yeah.
Yeah, that sucked ass.
Baker and Goff are huge games. Holy cow. Anyway.
Yeah, and Goff didn't even have any points until the second half. Like, it was like, he threw, 18 passes all game, and he completed all of them, but up until the second half, he had, 4 passes, and he wasn't doing anything, so I was like, oh, this is an easy win. I'm up by 20 points, and then Goff was like, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
And he was like 12 of 12 for 100 yards in the first half, and in the second half he was like 6 of 6 for 200 yards and a touchdown. And then he also had a receiving touchdown in the second half.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Anyway.
Yeah, it definitely just sucks going in thinking, oh, up by 20. I have Fant on my roster. I'm sure you can get me a few points.
He did get a few, just not enough.
Just not enough. Next matchup was Hunter and Devin. Hunter took it over Devin. This was more of a QB win. As far as Ross's side with Burrow and Jackson tough QB room to really go up against. You'd think that Hurts and Purdy would be at least contenders versus that team, but the Eagles look like they haven't played football in years, and San Francisco is. I thought they had all their weapons, but it seems like they're just not on the same page yet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, Hunter takes another win and goes to 4-0.
Absolutely,
on the year.
Another dominant, high-scoring win for him too.
Yeah. Another matchup, Clint and Adam. Everyone predicted Adam to win this. Clint being one of the dispersal teams, and I'd probably say that every week. Kind of leaning toward trying to lose so he gets the great picks. Unfortunately, no one can take the king off of his team. First play of the game, Mr. King, I think he had like a 73? It's over 70-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, it was insane.
He finished the game with 24 carries and 199 yards with 2 total touchdowns and 50 fantasy points. That pretty much cemented Clint's win over Adam, which was not predicted at all. So, for Clint's sake, I will say, someone get this king off my team.
The king may not be on his team for very much longer. Anyway, one last matchup.
Josh versus Kumpt. Kumpt had a good shot going into the last Monday night game. Unfortunately, Josh had 5 players starting from that game, and every single one of them did what they needed to do to come back and take Kumpt off his high horse.
Those are some insane numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he had Gibbs, Laporta,
Josh,
J-Mo for the Lions.
Josh had a huge Thursday and Monday night game and pretty much nothing in between.
Yeah, that's it, too.
I mean, both his quarterbacks.
It had to be a
neighbors.
shootout between those two teams. That's exactly what it was.
I don't think it had to be. He had plenty of margin to win this game, but that was wild.
Definitely turned out like the perfect game for him, though.
Yeah, for sure. What a start to the season. What a review it was. So, in that review, things happened during the week. You saw a couple zeros, like Rashee Rice. There are some injuries to talk about this week. Starting us off, obviously the big one, Rashee Rice. We think it's a torn ACL, but the Chiefs haven't placed him on IR yet, which is weird. Like, they may be waiting to do that for some reason, which I don't know why they would. It looks like a torn ACL. This may just be them waiting for a potential suspension, because I don't think if you're on IR you can actually, serve a suspension, if that makes sense. So they may be waiting to the end of the season for his court stuff to play out. But it is something to keep an eye on. He may not be done for the year. Anthony Richardson against them big bad Steelers. He went out of the game with a hip pointer. He's been quoted as day-to-day so far. Usually with hip pointer injuries with these guys, it's usually just a pain tolerance issue. Can they play through the pain? Also, on the Colts against the big bad Steelers, we've got Jonathan Taylor. Looks like a high ankle sprain. Usually they miss a game, or they don't miss any. Like, they miss 1 to 3 games, or they don't miss any. Jonathan Taylor's, I don't expect him to play this week, but the Colts haven't rolled him out yet. And, I mean, it's definitely something to keep an eye on here.
He'll be in.
He'll be in? You think he's going to play?
Yep. Just taking a day off.
Just taking a day off. Okay, well, I mean, that's one way to look at it. A little bit more of a positive note for this pair. Austin Eckler, and Trey McBride, who missed last week with concussions. They should be back this week. Both of them were limited in practice and are on track to play. What?
Was Devonta?
I did not look at Devonta Smith. Give me 1 second. I would assume he's also back, but
I would think so too.
Vet
that was the other guy.
Here. Actually, Brett, can you vet that?
Okay.
Anyway, speaking of concussions, Malik Neighbors, it's his turn to get a concussion. He played on Thursday night, so I don't know if he'll miss this week or not. It's a very gray area because they didn't used to miss a week for any concussion. Now they almost always miss a week. With him being the Thursday night, we'll see if he can get back on the field. Brandon Cooks for the Cowboys. He's out this week with a knee injury. David Njoku for the Browns. Expected back with his high ankle sprain from a few weeks ago. An offense that desperately needs more playmakers on it. Christian Watson for the Packers. He's expected out with another high ankle sprain. The common thing these days. High ankle sprains and concussions. Joe Mixon with the ankle injury. He's expected back, and we'll talk more about Joe Mixon in a little bit. Tank Dell, chest injury. He missed this past week. I would expect him to be back this week, but he is being quoted as day-to-day right now. And one last positive piece of news. The Browns have activated Nick Chubb, which doesn't mean he's going to play this week. It just means there's a 21-day window where they have to activate him for a game, or else he goes on IR and can't play the rest of the season. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but them opening the practice window as soon as he's eligible to come off IR is a good sign for Nick Chubb to come back soon, at least. I don't know if he'll be back to Nick Chubb, but it's definitely positive news.
Yes. So Devonta, he's been ruled out for week 4 against the Bucks already.
That was last week.
This is week 5 already?
Oh, wait, the Eagles are on bye. Okay,
Week
the Eagles
5,
are on bye.
yeah,
So
they're on bye.
he will, unless something is drastically going wrong with his concussion symptoms, there's like a 100% chance he's back. So that's why there's no injury reports on Devonta. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But there were some trades from this past week. We've got, we'll start with the one that happened before last week. I traded Carson Steele, kind of a backup running back, to get Zach Ertz. I was hoping he'd get a touchdown against the Cardinals. I was expecting that to be a high-scoring game. He didn't get a touchdown. Had a decent game from a tight end. I was happy with it. I'll take it. And Josh can have his young depth piece at running back. And I think he already lost the job in Kansas City after 1 week.
Yep. Can't compete against the cunt.
Kareem Hunt, for those that aren't cultured. There was another trade, though, that just happened today. And I'll let George discuss this trade a little bit more.
Yeah. So, Joe Mixon for a 2026 first, and that's very important because it's not 2025, which you'd be like, why is he trading for 2 years from now? He's a fucking fool. And you might be right. But the 2026 draft has some players I'm really excited for. I'm not really excited for Shador Sanders and all those players in the 2025 draft. Travis Hunter, whatever. I'm excited for 2026 when Arch Manning will hopefully be in the NFL draft.
Oh.
So I'm preparing for then. I want to build around, my young players on my team. I got Devon Achane, George Pickens. So I'm trying to build around them right now. And Joe Mixon's not going to fit that in 2 years when I'm ready to make my championship run with Arch Manning at quarterback. So how to get rid of him for some value.
Arch Manning, when he comes and takes Ewer's job in Cleveland.
Anyway, we don't need to trash on the Browns right now, Brett. Come on. We have all season to do that.
Did you guys think it was a fair trade?
I don't mind the trade for either side. I personally wouldn't give up a first for Mixon, but I know Devin also doesn't care about draft picks because Devin doesn't pay attention enough to Dynasty. But
as long as Devin has Eagles and 49ers on his team, he doesn't need to draft anyone else.
Apparently he's trying to get Texans because he asked me while we were watching football on Sunday what it would take for CJ Stroud, and I told him to kill himself. That's a joke, obviously, but CJ Stroud's not leaving my team, and Devin knows that. Anyway, with that all out of the way, we're going to move on to the matchups this week. We're going to start it off with the big, juicy one. This could have been an undefeated matchup. Unfortunately, Amon-Ra St. Brown had to throw that away.
Good deal.
We've got myself against Hunter. Jonathan Taylor has created a headache for me. Because if he was healthy playing the Jaguars, I'd feel so good about that matchup. But I'm not even sure he's going to play this week. If he is, he's in my lineup. I don't think it matters. I think Hunter's beating me either way. How do you feel, Brett?
I think Hunter will continue his undefeated streak. He looks like he's got it together. I mean, after we saw the Burrow and Jackson combo come together, I think it was at the beginning of this year, last year maybe even. Kind of knew he was going to be dangerous. The only hole that I see, which is weird to say, is Tyreek Hill. I don't know what's going on as far as QBs down there, but maybe they should give Tyreek Hill the starting position to put up some points this week. Yeah. Other than that, I think he's got you cooked.
You talk about a wild strategy. Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane in the backfield every play would be pretty tough to stop if you're running like jet sweeps and stuff like that. Just like wide zone runs.
Yeah, Reed can throw. He's throwing some balls.
It's true. Yeah. George, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, I actually have to disagree. I think DJ's got it. I think overall both of you guys have very strong lineups, obviously, but I'm really high on DJ Moore right now, and I really like someone on your bench, Cade Otton, the tight end. I think he's going to have a really good week this week, so if you put him in your lineup, I think that'll be really good. Whereas, again, Tyreek Hill's not going to really score that much with no quarterback. And Chuba, I don't think score as much either.
Are you suggesting I play Cade Otton over Trey McBride?
Yes.
Whoa.
I think Cade Otton's going to be the tight end one this week.
Whoa.
Hey, talk about a bold prediction.
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
Yeah, I will cover more so why during my bold predictions.
But... Oh, interesting. Okay. I like to hear the positivity from my team, but I didn't actually know this was happening this week. This is perfect, but George and Brett, you guys are playing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think JGF wins. Brett,
No.
It's all about tanking for you. Go get that number 1 pick. You hold it right now.
Hey, if Kyle Pitts decides to do what he does, I will easily go 0-5 this week.
I don't think you're in a position where you can go 0-5 because you have such an old roster now after that trade with Clint last week. I think you gotta pull it back somehow.
Well, that was the plan. But the problem is, every time I do that, the people that are supposed to score points don't score points.
Like Mike Evans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
So this is a fun matchup because both of you guys want to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I didn't want to lose. I thought last week, I'll grab some older pieces, some good pieces, start contending this year, and hopefully move into next year. Yeah.
Sad days. Well,
Yeah.
we'll move on there. We got Ross and Corey. Ross loses Brandon Cooks this week. He's also without 2 quarterbacks, Goff and Herbert, which means Jacoby Brissett is in the starting lineup. And
boy.
on the other side, also without a quarterback, being Bryce Young's on the bench and Will Levis is on bye. It's Kirk Cousins. We got a Kirk Cousins versus Jacoby Brissett matchup, and they don't have another option at quarterback. With that all being said, I think Ross takes this matchup. I like his lineup a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Disco literally has 4 guys on bye.
Yeah. Yep.
And no one to replace them with.
Yeah, it's thin. I mean, Valdez Scantling, you could maybe get a big play, but it doesn't look good. Well, we'll move on. Another pretty fun matchup. Devin and Jared, the two defending champs in this league. Devin won the inaugural year. Jared won last season, as you can see by his little gold medal there. two pretty good rosters. Devon's been a little underperforming to start the year. With that being said, I think Jared's going to take this matchup.
I think George should talk about this because he has a differing opinion from both of us.
Yeah, I gotta disagree. I think this is gonna be my second big upset of the week. I think Devin takes it just because the Jets, which are two of the most important pieces on Jared's team right now with Breece Hall and Aaron Rodgers, they're going against the Vikings this week, and the Vikings defense is nasty. I'll be surprised if Aaron Rodgers comes out alive from this matchup. And if
okay.
Breece Hall,
Goodness. This is the London game too.
So, it is London game.
Yeah.
So because of that, I just like Devin's, and Devin has Joe Mixon, who's a great, I'd trade a first round for that guy. So
You would say
that.
that.
2026 first round.
Hey, call your shot on that 2026 class early. I like the boldness of that part of it. Yeah, I mean, I see the argument. I think you're wrong, but I see your argument. Moving on, we've got Compt versus Badham. Now, I have Badham winning this. If Richardson's out, it's a little bit more unlikely. Being that, well, I don't even think Adam has enough running backs to start this week. Barkley and Spears are both on bye. And
maybe Chubb plays this week?
Chubb is not going to play this week. They're actually,
Gibson might.
Nick Chubb was limited at practice till on Wednesday. Nick Chubb might play this week, and if he does, I think that changes it a little bit for me. This is actually first time all season looking at this matchup again. I'm actually switching my prediction mid-show. I'm gonna predict Comp to beat Adam, joining my fellow co-hosts here. Do you guys have anything else to add on this matchup?
I will say that Gibson. There was talks that Antonio Gibson might start over Ramondre this week.
Well, that's what happens when Ramondre has a fumble in every game this season.
I'm just saying he needs a Barkley. So maybe Gibson is his Barkley this week.
Yeah. He needs that week 3 Barkley and week 1 Barkley to come back. George, you got anything for this matchup?
I mean, I just think that Geno Smith's going to pop off against the Giants, sadly. I don't want it to happen, but I expect the Seahawks to kind of erase our defense, and so I think it's going to win this.
Good stuff. We got Clint going up against Rascal. I'll be frank, I don't think Clint has a chance to win this game, but do you guys have any other opinions, anything to add specifically about this matchup?
I just want to say that I really like Clint's team and what he's doing with his rebuild. It's looking real beautiful, all the trades he's made and stuff. I think in the coming years he's going to have a really strong team built off of like Jordan Addison and Zach Moss and things like that, and all his picks that he has. He's been doing real well with also even getting just young quarterbacks who might turn into something in a few years. So, yeah, he's losing this game, but he's going to win the war in the end.
Brett, you got anything for this matchup?
No, I mean, right now, Josh is at 53% to win, and he still has 3 Lions in his lineup that are on bye.
And Jordan Love on the bench.
Right, so because he already has a chance to win with 3 guaranteed zeros, I find it pretty hard that if he puts anybody in for Clint to come back and beat him this week. But that's the name of the
Any given
dispersal
Sunday.
draft. Yep.
Any given Sunday. Should be interesting. Now, a little bit of a backtrack here. We're going to talk about some guys from last week we were impressed with. I'm going to start it off. Of course I am. My surprise player this week is Justin Fields. 22 completions, 300 yards, and a touchdown. Nearly led this team. That was just passing. He also had 10 carries for 55 yards and 2 more touchdowns on the ground because it didn't look like any receiver wanted to get open in the red zone. Yeah, he had a great second half. Most of this came in the second half, and good for Fields. It looks like he's gonna continue to start for the Steelers until further notice. George, what do you got? What do you got from last week?
Yeah, I got Sterling Shepard. I didn't know this guy was still alive. We're playing football after the Giants brutalized him. But he was on the field like a lot last week and had 50 yards receiving, which, I mean, he's 31 and is coming off of two horrific injuries. So I'm really proud of him. I think moving forward, he's gonna probably regress. But as right now, good for him.
You said earlier, comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I did say comeback player. That was more of a joke. I don't see him
We don't
really beating
joke.
out. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised if he stays healthy all season. Honestly.
Oof, that's brutal. Yeah, Brett, what do you got for last week? Who's your good?
My surprise was DeAndre Swift. I think he came into the game with maybe 32 total yards over the first 3 weeks. And this week he popped off. He did what running backs are supposed to do. 16 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. And he also caught 7 of his targets, 72 yards. Put up a big 30 bomb, which was kind of unheard of for anyone on the Bears offense.
Yeah.
So that was my surprise of the week.
Yeah, it was
Do
also...
you think?
Go ahead.
Do you think he's going to continue to produce at this rate, or do you think this is like a one-game unicorn of his?
I for sure think it's a unicorn game.
Oh, I think I'd lean more on the unicorn side there, but he does have the Panthers this week. So I think I'm going to lean that it kind of continues this week a little bit. But he was also supposed to get a decrease in the workload, and he still had 23 touches. So if that's a decreased workload, wheels up. Anyway, with the good, there's always the bad. And speaking of bad, from one quarterback to another, Kyler Murray, what in the world was that? What did we watch? He was going up against one of the league's worst defenses. He threw 22 passes, mainly because their offense couldn't stay on the field. Had 142 yards and only 1 touchdown. The craziest part to me about this stat line is the lack of rushing against this defense. He was just standing in the pocket and getting sacked all day. 3 rushing yards on 1 actual carry against that team. Not looking good at all for Kyler this week. Another person wasn't looking good for. You guys both have this guy. George, we'll let you take the wheels on this since you're a special guest here.
Yeah, I didn't realize we both picked Breece Hall, but I have Breece Hall because he was projected to score 18 points, 19 points, and he scored maybe 4. He has seen a decreased snap share over the last 4 games, went scoreless this game, and when you have 10 rushing attempts and get 4 yards, I mean, that's like 5th string numbers. So I feel real bad, and I also feel bad because now he's going against the Vikings defense, and I expect to see a lot of the same.
I just think it's crazy that the game was terrible. Like, both teams sucked, but it was also miserable with the rain. So that's where you would think that a running back, typically running backs do the best in rain games. But yeah, I don't know what the hell was happening out there.
Yikes. That was also a terrible game. The Jets lost, and their defense held Bo Nix to 60 passing yards. A bit of a problem there.
Yeah, anyway. I think at one point it was like he had, 7 completions for -7 yards or something like that?
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Hey, I love Bo Nix, but that was a pretty terrible game. But, hey, he got his team a win, so that's all that matters. Now we're going to move on to some fun stuff. Talk about our bold predictions from this past week. So, obviously, you guys saw DeAndre Swift's big game. Another running back that was on our bold prediction show last week, Jared predicted Roschon Johnson to kind of take over the lead back role in Chicago. He predicted 115 total yards and a touchdown. He was kind of right. He did get a touchdown, but he only had 26 yards. So kind of a miss there for Jared, but he did get a touchdown, so about half correct. Now you want to talk about a really bad prediction in running backs? Look at me. Najee Harris, I predicted him to go for 200 and a touchdown against the Colts, who had been one of the league's worst defenses against the run in the first 2 weeks. They may have shored that up a little bit, or maybe this was just the Steelers' O-line problem. Najee only had 73 yards and no touchdowns, and that 73 yards was including his receiving. I believe he only had about 20 actual rushing yards this week. Yeah. 19 rush yards, 54 in the receiving game. Not a good look for Najee this week. And, Brett, what's going on with your bold predictions from last week? What do you got?
Yeah, so my bold prediction was a major shootout in the Washington and Arizona game. It almost half came true. Daniels put up 233 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Kyler fell short, way short, with 142 passing yards and 1 touchdown. I predicted 300 yards each and 3 touchdowns from each of them. But yeah, did not happen. Don't know what Kyler's doing back there. He should just be heaving it up to Marv and he'll be fine. But
he looked like Kirk Cousins in week 1 back there this week, just sitting in the pocket, not able to move, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, we're gonna jump right from your bad last week to your good this week. What do you think is gonna happen this week, Brett?
I think now that Debo's got his returning game in, where he kind of did some stuff but didn't do everything Debo normally does, I think he's going to come back strong next week, put up 150 total yards, whether that's receiving or rushing combined, and then 2 touchdowns. That's my bold prediction this week.
Well, and I saw that. I took some inspiration from you. DJ Moore is my bold prediction this week. I also think he's going for 150 and 2 touchdowns. I think we saw Caleb Williams start to get on track last week a little bit more as an NFL quarterback. Hopefully that continues. DJ Moore seems pretty frustrated, and I mean, who wouldn't be? He had terrible quarterback play his entire career. He had a career year with Fields, and then the team that he got traded to before last season trades the quarterback he was great with, and now it's been kind of mediocre. He did score his first touchdown this past week, which kind of saved an otherwise terrible game, but 150 and 2 touchdowns is my bold prediction for DJ Moore this week. So, JGF, what you got?
Yeah, I got Cade Otton as my bold prediction. I think he's going to score over 20 fantasy points this week against the Falcons. He's projected to score 6, and I think that's just gross. Both teams, the Falcons and the Bucs, are coming off of good games, with the Falcons scoring 26 against the Saints and the Bucs scoring 33 against the Eagles. So I think that this matchup should be a shootout with both teams scoring pretty high. Cade's on the field like all the time. He has like a 92% snap average, and he's had 13 catches on 17 targets the last 2 games, and that's with no scores. I don't see him being scoreless in this upcoming game, so I think he gets a touchdown. I think he might get 2 touchdowns, and the Bucs have a top 10 passing offense right now, so I feel like it'd be hard for him to not get a good share this week coming up.
If you had to set his line for receiving yards and catches, where are you setting that line at? If you're predicting a touchdown or maybe 2,
I think we see 10 targets, 8 catches, 80 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Oh man, that's a huge week. Did you know that he plays tight end though in 2024?
I do know that he plays tight end. I think he's gonna be number 1 tight end this week coming up.
Dale, do you know that he has the MVP quarterback this year?
Anyway, that was our bold prediction show for this week. And since as is tradition, we're gonna just go ahead. We're gonna talk about the AFC North a little bit. Jared and I on here 2 weeks ago were saying that the Ravens and Bengals might be dead, and now the Ravens are a game out of first place, and the Bengals were 0-3. They have a little bit of life now, but they are playing the Ravens, so a huge game for both those teams this week.
Wow, it's first divisional game.
It is the first divisional game of the year for this division. It's coming up for the Browns, back-to-back here in a few weeks. Browns need a get-right game this week against the Commanders. If Nick Chubb plays, I feel a lot better about it, though, than anything. That's for sure. And Njoku's back. That should also help us. I don't feel great, though, admittedly.
Yeah, you guys lost to the Browns lost to the Giants.
And the Raiders. And the Raiders, who didn't have Devontae Adams. They didn't have Max Crosby. They were missing like 4 other starters, and we still lost.
The Commanders are a better team than both the Raiders and the Giants combined.
Combined is crazy. Yeah, doesn't feel great. But Brett, how do you feel about your Steelers there, Brett?
I think that even though we lost last week, I think we put up a good fight. For the once, the Steelers' defense was kind of the issue. Can't say that very often, especially over the last few years. But I think if they can screw up some things, get T.J. Watt into the backfield, Field keeps doing what he's doing, I think we'll be fine.
Fine is like Mike Tomlin's favorite word. That's like what Mike Tomlin strives for every year is to be fine.
Yeah, like fine, like a good 9-8 season.
That'd be perfect. And you dropped to 3-2 this week. You're on pace for just that. So, best of luck for you guys to lose this week. And I'm cheering for both those Ohio football teams. And there's a reintroduction of a segment from last season going to be happening next week. You guys will have to wait and find out. Some of you may know what I'm referring to, but it'll be on next week's show.
But before we go, what about the Giants? Because we have a guest. The Giants. What's happening in that division?
What is happening in that division? I mean, it's been real rough. I think. I don't know. It made me feel good to see that the Vikings went undefeated after beating the Giants, and that the Commanders don't suck after losing to them too. So maybe there's hope. But
what kind of a fan are you? You're cheering for the other teams to win? You want everybody to have fun?
No, I'm not. I mean, I would love if we could beat the Seahawks, and I would love if we could beat the Bengals, and I would love if we could go, undefeated the rest of the season. It's just realistically, I don't know if our offense is there. Danny Dimes has been looking good the last 2 weeks, but he's not throwing the ball very far down the field, and when he is, he's underthrowing terribly. And if he didn't have such talented wide receivers right now, I think we'd be in a way worse position. I mean, you see how he's abused Neighbors and Wandale.
Yeah.
They're not going to last too much longer if he keeps, underthrowing the ball. And I don't know. I'm just very nervous. I think our defense, after we lost our defensive coordinator this past season too, hasn't been as good.
True.
I really liked Wink Martindale, even though he's doing terrible in college right now. But he did great on the NFL level. I loved all our blitzing, and now we stopped. And I don't know.
Did you? This game would say otherwise. 8 sacks? That kind of stunk. Why'd you guys have to blitz against the Browns?
We did have 8 sacks against the Browns, which was surprising, but I don't think we did that good against the Cowboys, sack-wise.
Yeah, that's true. It was a little bit of a down game. The Cowboys' O-line is a lot better than the Browns.
Yeah.
But, so it kind of sounds like you're at the point where it's if a really good team beat us, then we weren't going to win anyways. No one's going to win. They're going to win the Super Bowl, and we'll say that, we lost to the Super Bowl team. Of course we weren't going to win.
Yeah. It's going to be a Vikings-Commanders Super Bowl somehow.
Somehow, yeah. There you go.
That's interesting thoughts. Vikings and Commanders would be a fun Super Bowl, or even an NFC Championship game would be. That's pretty much been the Super Bowl the last few years, unless it's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That being said, it was fun having you, and we'll see everybody next week.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime.
Deuces.